Yeah, so just piggybacking off of last week, just a reminder for everybody, when you're doing your files within Proppy, just remember that now we can just send your docs over to docs@riserealtyca.com, and we will manage the back end of the file for you. So it's just a little extra service that we're giving now with the company. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach me direct, or you can send an email over to the transaction support, which is docs at email at riserealtyca.com. So just a reminder on that. And then as you upload your docs, they will send you remaining items left on the checklist and kind of keep you updated throughout the file. So other than that, we're not going to do a mortgage update this morning. And we can go ahead and roll into this. So Leo's going to go over just a simple Facebook lead form. You don't really need anything special for these, which is great. We use these as a company. I've been using them kind of since they came out. I think they've been out a few years now. And they're pretty easy to set up. So if you wanted to spend, just a little bit of money each month trying to do some lead gen, this is going to be a very, very cost-effective way for you to get some leads coming in, get some contacts coming in. There's 101 ways to do Facebook ads, some better than others, but this is a pretty good way to spend a little bit of money to get some results. So with that, I'll let Leo take it over.
Thank you, Travis. Yeah, there are 101 different ways to get Facebook ads to work in your favor. Real estate, there are some limitations. We don't have what we used to have in our arsenal. Back then, we used to be able to target by zip code, which really made it effective to kind of farm your area and really just distribute the ads accordingly. But now we realized there's a lot of discrimination, things that went against Facebook over the last year, and things have started really changing. So a lot of your leads are going to be within a radius of your current location or whatever location you're looking at. So it's been a little bit more difficult to farm certain communities, but you can still hit your counties, your cities pretty effectively. But it will get you results and it will bring you activity. One of my clients actually that I did this for got a house got a seller lead within the first week and was able to close the deal within the first 20 days and turn it into an escrow offer. And it was really good of how effective it was. And then I have another client that does buyer leads. So one of the first things you have to realize is when you're looking at Facebook ads, you kind of have to understand what your end goal is. What's your objective? And with real estate, your objective is to get leads, but you can either focus on buyer leads or seller leads. If you're focusing on buyer leads, you're probably going to get a lot more opt-ins that you can filter out. It'll get you some good activity. If you're shooting for seller leads, it's actually going to probably cost you more, and it's a lot harder to build a seller relationship on Facebook ads. But the best way to go about trying to get a seller lead is actually trying to get buyer leads, because statistically, you're probably going to get anywhere between 10% to 15% of your buyer leads that are actually maybe sellers. But before they actually consider selling their home, they're actually looking what their options are for buying. So that's kind of the overall base statistics for Facebook ads and trying to get a seller lead out of a buyer lead. And so buyer leads are actually more cost effective as well to get buyer leads as opposed to getting seller leads. So once we understand what kind of objective and goal we're trying to shoot for, it makes it really easy to kind of craft an offer. We're kind of reverse engineering an ad at this point. So before we actually go into creating the lead form, we got to know what our offer is. So a bunch of different offers. I'll give you like some of the top 3 different offers that we have that will help you craft your own offer. Number one is, if you're doing buyer leads, is creating custom lists. So if you have like a custom list of, homes for around 600K, starting at 600K in a certain area. I know, I'm in Orange County, so it's very hard to find a home for 600K. So that might get some more sellers in there. Maybe homes starting at 750 is another good one. But what really helps out a lot is creating maybe a custom list. And if you're using something on your website, it's easy to just kind of generate that link and just kind of shoot them an email after they have opted in. But I'll get more on that later. But custom list is one of the first ways. Offering some type of ebook, if you have like an ebook of any freebie that you have on your arsenal, or you can create one in Canva. You can create like a nice, 5 to 7 page document in Canva and create an ebook. Maybe buyer tips on buying your first home, or you can pretty much just Google any type of headline and you'll get a good idea of how to create this ebook. So ebooks work really well. And then the good old fashioned, comparables, or getting a comp, or a home valuation. That's another way. Those are kind of the top 3 ways. You can do another 50 other ways to generate interest. Whatever works in your expertise is probably what you want to focus on. Whatever has also produced results in the past. So say you've hosted seminars and you got a lot of people interested in what you have to offer. You got a lot of people interested in the conversation. You can offer a resource that educates them, and that'll usually get them into your pipeline. So let's go ahead and let's assume we have an offer. I'm just going to go with a home valuation offer, make it simple. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a campaign. So when you look at Facebook ads, you have the campaign. So this is kind of the overarching. So if you look at it like an umbrella, the campaigns is at the top. Then you look at your ad sets, that's going to be your middle. That'll be the audiences. So campaigns is kind of the start of it. Ad sets is creating the audience part of it. And then ads is actually creating the actual ad copy. So when you think about creating a campaign, it's all 3 tiers into one. So this is the overarching. So we're going to create a campaign. So once I click create, now you have the awareness, consideration, conversion. So awareness is if you have like a post that you want to create more awareness on, just put your name out there. Brand awareness and reach is definitely a good way to go. But this is more of just trying to get your voice out there. It's going to be really cheap, but you're not going to get any really conversions out of it. This is kind of where you go to build your audience. I'm not going to spend too much time focusing on that, but this is if you want to start growing your audience. Consideration, you have traffic, engagement, app installs, video views, lead gen, and messages. So if you're trying to drive traffic to your website, definitely, traffic is the one thing that you're going to want to do. Once again, this is just the second level of trying to build your audience. So if you're going to target cold traffic, then expect that just to be cold traffic. If you're driving traffic from your brand awareness and reach campaigns, that's warmer traffic, but you're not guaranteed to get those sales on there. So what we're actually going to focus on today is lead generation. This is where Facebook will find the people that are most likely to opt into your lead gen. And I'll go more into this in a second. And then you have your conversions. So this is if you're looking to make purchases or get leads into your website. This is more complex stuff, but I won't really go into there. It's more of like closing sales. So we're going to go into lead gen. So now you can actually go down here and name your campaign. I'll do this in a little bit. I'm not going to worry about it right now. So now we're just going to put test campaign. So this will be your first thing that you create. So if you go down the list, the very first thing you want to hit is making sure that you're doing this as a housing special category. Facebook will not let you run an ad if you don't have the special category for housing up and running as you're being an agent. It just won't allow you. This actually puts you in the restrictive area of what you can target. So now we're going to go down and we're actually going to create a budget. You don't have to, if you're just running one ad, there's no need to do a campaign budget optimization. We call it CBO. This is if you're running multiple audiences in your campaign and you want to have Facebook kind of figure out which one's the best one, which audience is the best audience to target. It'll basically do the work for you. So you don't have to have this on if you're just running one ad. If you're running like 3 to 5 different audiences within your campaign, then yeah, you want to spread it out and have Facebook figure out which one's going to be optimized. So I'll just set this off for now. So now we're going to go to next. So this is actually where you're going to set your audience. So this is the people that you're going to be targeting. So I'll just put this as a reference. So we're going to have this as an audience. Now, what we're going to have them fill out is an instant form. So Facebook actually really likes it when you don't push them off of their platform. So if they're able to fill out a form on the Facebook platform and not actually have to go to another website, this is why lead forms are actually a lot cheaper than trying to drive traffic or conversions off of Facebook, because they actually like it when the user stays on Facebook. So you're getting a lot more value using this as opposed to using like a website. So your page, let me take 2 steps back real quick and explain this little section first. So when you actually start your ad, you want to make sure that you have these 3 things set up into place. It's making sure that you have your business manager set up. So if you go to business.facebook.com, disappeared. So if you go to business.facebook.com, that's where you'll be able to log in and create your ad profile. So after you set up your business account on Facebook, then what you're going to want to make sure you have is a Facebook page tied to your business. So right now you can see I have Unique Digital Media as my Facebook page. And then the third thing you want to make sure you have is an actual ad account set up. And the area that you're going to go to make sure you have those set up is your business settings. So you're going to click the little 3 bars. It normally looks like a hamburger, but we'll just call it the 3 bars. And you'll set it up in your business settings. So you'll want to set up your Facebook page, make sure that you have that in there. And then you're going to want to make sure you set up an ad account. So what's going to be charged when you run these ads, where is it going to get billed to? And then you can set up your Facebook ads. So those are the 3 areas: business manager, your ad manager, and your business page.
And it kind of walks you through, right?
Yeah, it walks you right through it.
Yeah.
You know, it'll definitely help you out. It's super simple.
Yeah,
I don't want to go back here because
No,
I have
I
a lot
know.
of clients under my list.
Yeah.
So once you're there, and then in order to run Facebook lead, you just have to accept the terms for the page. And it right here, it'll usually prompt you if you haven't accepted terms. It'll take you to another page and you just select the button at the bottom. Dynamic creative, not really important for this sense. This is more of like if you give Facebook like the pieces of the puzzle, Facebook will actually put together the most optimized pieces for the puzzle to show the user the best ad copy that it thinks will convert. And basically the different pieces are the images, maybe a video, maybe you have different headlines you want to test out, different ad copy within the thing. So you can set up all these different parameters or different features in there, and it'll kind of convert it into the best stuff. But for this case, we don't need it on. We can just leave it off. And then this is what your daily budget is. So a good rule of thumb with your daily budget for a lead form, $10 a day is sufficient. $5 a day, it's a little low. It doesn't really give enough data, because basically what Facebook ads is just a data tool, a collection tool. So I think 10 to 20 is a good amount. 10 if you want to be safer about it, try it out for a week at $10. But yeah, I wouldn't go lower than 10. And then this is where you create your audience. So you have custom audiences. This is more next level audience tools, but we're going to go down a little bit. And because we're using Facebook ads as a housing category, we're not able to select the age because of discrimination, and then the gender. So it's got to be pretty neutral right there. The only control we really have is the interest targeting. And when it comes to this, some of the top areas that you want to use are things like Zillow. And then if you hit suggestions, sometimes you could see some other suggestions. And I usually suggest try to select like anywhere between 7 and 10 of these different interests. There's a lot of different ways to go about interest targeting. But for what I've seen, what works is if you select like more. So if you look right here, you see the audience. Well, you see the audience at 31 million for Zillow. Well, we haven't really dialed into what area we're going to target yet. So let's go up a little bit. And where's it? Where did I miss it?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there it is. Location. It's always like a little bar.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to locations, and we're actually going to select our location. So right now I'm living in, let's say, Anaheim. That's where I'm located right now. So we're going to go to Anaheim. Now it gives me a 15-mile perimeter. So that's an audience of 490,000 people. It's a decent sized audience. Facebook likes it between about 1 million to 3 million. So as you add in more interest, that number will go up. So we're going to put Trulia, and then watch how the audience goes up a little bit. And then we're going to put mortgage calculator.
So what this is right now is these are potential Facebook users that have expressed interest in Zillow Trulia mortgage calculator. So, you know, generally we can think that people that are looking on those sites would be thinking about buying or selling a home. And that's why we chose those.
Exactly. So usually when you start collecting these audience, see how it's slowly going up. So the more suggestions you have, the more of a pool that Facebook has to find these people that are most ideal to opt in to your lead magnet. So you can go through here and select whatever's most relevant. These are kind of the top ones that I like to use. Plus I add a couple more specific ones. And, you know, if you want languages, you know, if you don't,
and Facebook is pretty good with the languages I have found. If you target just one language, it's pretty good. So I've noticed that.
Yeah, and then so what you'll see here is, so this is where a lot of people, you know, you hear a lot of different opinions, like where to place it. I prefer manual placements just in Facebook. A lot of people try to do Instagram and things like that. You got to think about the demographic that you're targeting, and people that own homes, it's usually a demographic between like 30 to 50, even 60-year-olds. And a lot of these people aren't really on Instagram. A lot of them are on Facebook and still use Facebook. So I focus on Facebook more or less. Now, if you want to see how the potential reach dropped a little bit, yes, it did drop, but we're still in a good threshold. If you're trying to target people locally, anything between 300 to 500,000 is still a good number. Once you start getting down to like 10,000, 20,000, unless they've already interacted with you, you're not really giving yourself much leg room to have Facebook find people. So I think anywhere between 380 to or 300,000 to 500,000 is good for a more local audience. If you're trying to do more like e-commerce or trying to do things bigger, then yeah, bigger audience is definitely better. And then I always take off the Facebook Marketplace, and I really get focused on where I'm spending. So like a lot of times I'll get rid of all this other nonsense because I really just want the ad to pop up on the feed is where I really want it to pop up. So now we go on to next. Now that we have the audience set up, now we're going to work on the actual lead form. I'll just name this image one because I usually, when I run CBO, the campaign budget optimization, this is how I do it. I create one campaign. I create, for real estate, I'll maybe create 1 or 2, maybe 3 different audiences that I'll test. And then I'll create maybe 3 different ads, which right here, this is the ad part. I'll create 3 different ads to run and test, and I'll see which one actually starts converting best. Now, when you start testing different ads, you want to make sure you have the budget to test it. So if you're testing 2 different ads at $10 a day, that's okay. If you're doing like 4 different ads and you're doing $10 a day, well, that's not enough data for Facebook to pick up. So you will want to up your ad budget on that. So you gotta keep in mind that there's a delicate balance that you want to achieve. So I would definitely test at least 2 different ad copies with a $10 budget, but I wouldn't go more than that. And so this is where you create the ad name. I'll put image 1 right here. If I was going to do a second ad to compare, I would maybe name it image 2. And then we go down here and make sure your page is selected. There's been times where I run a bunch of different pages, so sometimes the pages don't sync up. And then you create your ad, and this is where you'll go in and you'll edit. So usually you'll start off like this, and you'll just go to add your media. Now, when it comes to creating a Facebook ad, video reigns supreme. Like if you have video that talks about your offer or something about you that why we should work with you or what resource you're going to give, a video by far is the best way to communicate that. It gets way more engagement. An image is just it's kind of what everyone's doing. So you're not really going to stick out from the crowd unless you have a really good image that kind of has a good call to action. But I'd say video is number 1, and then a really good ad image with some type of call to action on the image. Because Facebook, about a year ago, they decided to not penalize you for having text on your image. Before, you used to have an image with text on it, it would actually penalize you and not show it to as many people. It would be a low quality ad. But what we're seeing now with the shift is ad images with some text on it with a really bold claim, like a call to action on there, actually will perform better than just an image. Just to kind of put that in some perspective. And then the primary text is what you're going to fill out for your ad copy. So, hey, and usually when you have your first primary line, this is what's going to be seen initially. So you want to have a solid call to action, calling all Orange County homeowners. This is what smart homeowners are doing. This is where your bold claim and who you're targeting is what you want to do right here on this first line, because that's what's going to be visible on the ad. Anything else is just kind of reinforcing and presenting the click. Now, when you run a copy, you want to make sure that not only the first line, you have it as a bold claim or who you're targeting as your audience, like, hey, all Orange County homeowners. The next body of it, you're trying to build up some pain points. Have you been priced out of the market lately? Feeling like things are just not working right? You know your audience best. So you're going to dive into some pain points a little bit, and then you're going to show them how you can maybe offer the solution without giving them everything. You want to entice them to click, because you want to kind of leave it open. You don't want to solve the problem in the ad. You want to get them to click. That's the number 1 thing. So when they click on it, that's where you're going to try to give them the solution, give them what they're going to get. Because when you get those clicks, not only, well, number 1 is your ad costs are going to go down. Number 2 is you're actually going to have a better chance of getting opt-ins because people are interested. You got to get them the hook, and then you got to kind of build the story to present the offer. So think about that when you write your primary text. Then the headline is whatever call to action you have. Smart homeowners are doing this. Some type of headline that's going to capture their attention to want to act fast now. And then you don't need to worry about description. One last thing is the primary text. If you want to test your things and let Facebook kind of do the work, you can create different options for your text, and then Facebook will push out whatever's working best. They'll help you optimize your ad. Same thing with the headline. If you want to test numerous headlines, you can test up to 5 on here. So add headline after headline, and then Facebook will pick out the best one. And then your call to action. A lot of times with this, I always click learn more. That's always a great way to have a button on there. And then your instant form. So this is where you're going to create your form, and we'll create one real fast. So when you create a form, it's really easy to do. You're going to name your form. You want more volume. I found that there's really no difference between more volume or higher intent. A lot of times you just want to stick with more volume. You just go down the drop down list and you just kind of fill it out. So you're going to use the image, you're going to upload your image, and then the questions. Now, this is where you can't get too specific on your questions. A lot of times people want to know, like, what's your budget, this and that. No, it'll get denied on Facebook. I found the best way to ask these questions is question number one is do you currently have a pre-approval letter? That's an okay question to ask. Another question is, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Another good question to ask is how many bedrooms or baths does your home currently have? You know, those questions. But when it comes to like money and things like that, you can't really ask that question. You can, I think you can ask how much are you willing to, how much are you looking to sell your house for? I think that's okay. I can't remember off the top of my head about that question. It's been a while since I used that one, but the one question I do ask is, do you have a pre-approval? It kind of sets a pre-qualifier, and then you have your email, full name, and you can add a phone number too on here. And you do that by adding a category, user or contact fields, phone number. And what's cool about a Facebook lead form is that Facebook will actually auto-populate this information with what they use to log into their Facebook account. So you already know they have a verified email because they have it through Facebook. So a lot of times when we have it on a landing page, you'll get like a bogus email address or a bogus name, a bogus phone number. This is actually all populated through Facebook. So your lead quality is a lot better when they opt in, and it saves the user error of input that you normally can see. Like I've seen gmail.com, you know, things like that. So you actually get correct email addresses into your pipeline. Privacy.
Super quick on that. When you're building out your fields, generally, I think less is more. You know, if you have just this information that he has in there right now, email, full name, phone number, the chances of you getting that completed are higher than if you have a bunch of, you know, different questions in there about, you know, time frames and all this other stuff. Now, they may not be as serious, so from what I have found. So if you do it the other way and you put in, you know, maybe 6 or 7 questions that are a little more specific, you are qualifying the lead a little bit more. And if it comes through, you know that they're probably a little more serious, but that's just what I've experienced. So a lot of times I'll just go with the staples of email, phone number, and name, just to get the volume up. Yeah.
Perfect points. And then you have your privacy. This is where you just go onto your own website, or you're using Rise Realty's website. This is where you just put in your privacy policy, and then custom disclaimer. This is where you're just adding different links to it, and then completion. So this is like your headline of the thank you page. And then where did they go after this? They can go visit your website. They can call you. I just put visit website most of the time. You can add a link to your website. And then there is one more thing. Where did I see it? There is one thing that on here. So when you have there it is. So this is where you're going to create your headline. So when they actually go into the lead form, it's going to be your headline. You know, this is where you're like, oh, this is, you know, I'll provide you your free X, Y, and Z, you know, product that you're requesting. And then you just put a little additional details. And then there's another section right here. I'm trying to find it off the top of my head. Oh, here it is. So right here, where it says enter a message, this is just stating like how you're going to use their information. You know, you could just put like, this information will be used to contact you promptly, but we will not spam you or resell your information. You just keep a simple message like what you're going to be using for this with this information, just to kind of give peace of mind to the person opting in that they're not going to get spammed with a million different things. And then once you're done, you just click publish, and then you have your lead form set up. And then for tracking, you know, you don't, if you don't have a website, this has to do with the pixel. I'm not going to get into too much of that right now. I'll save that for another day. But if you do have a pixel set up, this is just a way to retarget people that go on your landing page. but you don't need this to have an effective lead form ad. Now, the next thing is once we're all done with this, then you're just going to hit publish, and then boom, you have your first ad set up. So just kind of overview real quick, you set your campaign. You can either do CBO if you're testing multiple things, or you can just set it up as a one-time. You don't want to really test a whole lot. I feel CBO is just the best way to go. $10 to $20, and then you're going to set up your audience. So the people who you're going to be targeting, what area you're going to be targeting them at, and then you're going to create your ad. And the ad is with the image, the copy, the video, the links, and the headlines, and the form. And then once you click publish, boom, it'll take, Facebook. I've seen it go from anywhere from 30 minutes to 24 hours for them to approve it. If you do get it denied, Facebook is very good at telling you what the reason is for it being denied. Chances are maybe you're asking a question wrong in the form. That's usually the number one reason why anything would get denied on Facebook with the lead form is just the forms that you have. Maybe you're asking a question that isn't what Facebook allows, or your primary text, maybe you made it too specific. Like there's a lot of things that you can't do and say. Like you can't make bold claims as far as like monetary value, but Facebook does let you get away with quite a bit. And, they do have a guideline, an ad guideline that you can refer back to if you want really good clarity. And if you do get denied, you can always come back to Facebook and say like, okay, I understand what went wrong. I'll correct it, and then that'll usually fix everything. But I find it's pretty rare to get denied. Those are the two main areas that you will get denied for on an ad. And then I think that's it on that piece. So I guess we can open up to any questions if you guys.
Yeah, so we do have Adcopy in the back office, guys, that you can literally copy and paste into here. Stuff that we've used in the past, stuff that I've pulled from, trainers and things like that. So, if you want to keep this as simple as possible, we do have that in the back office. Things that I have found that work really easy, especially when you're just starting your lead ads, is buyers like home lists. So let's say maybe 650,000 is kind of on the cusp of maybe unbelievable for the area, but I would go into the MLS and do a search of single family homes and get to that price point where it's like just a little like, oh man, there's no homes for that price in the area, when actually there probably is. Maybe there's 15, 20 listings in the 650 range in that area, when most buyers are probably thinking it's 7 or 750 as like being the minimum. So that would be kind of my lead into the ad is, view all homes, at 650 or, around 650,000 or something like that, and then provide them the link after they fill out the lead form. I've had really good success with those. It brings in a lot of contacts. And then I leave the lead form at just name, phone number, email, because I prefer to have more contacts rather than very, very specific ones, because you never know what's going to pan out, and they all just go into my contact management system. And then as far as images go, very simple as well. You can go over to Canva, you can go to Adobe Spark, you can go whatever you choose for making images. And a simple one is literally just a collage of 3 or 4 homes that are relevant to the area you're marketing to, just images basically, and put them into a collage format and have that be your image. I found that those work really well for the image portion. If you're just trying to get your first ad going, that would be my suggestion for getting it done, simply, and just to get your first one launched. And then after that, you can play around with your images and different things like that and re-upload them. But that's what I have found over the years works really well. If you're looking for something like Leo suggested as like a an ebook or something like that, there is some presentation stuff in the Coach 52 Marketing Center. If you are looking for some pre-built stuff, there is some things over there. Breakthrough Broker also has some stuff that you can literally just download for free. There's a lot of stuff out there that you can get if you're looking to do that kind of piece. But really, the link to the list of homes works really, really well. So consider doing that, and I can answer questions on that as well. So.
And I just remember one last thing is when you're starting your ads, try not to get hung up on immediate results right away. You have to kind of let Facebook do its thing, and you have to wait like at least 2 to 3 days before you realize that you're just not getting any traction. And I actually just want to show you one last thing that I forgot to mention. This is kind of the bonus round. When you actually have ads, and you want to check on the performance of your ads, that's kind of the one thing that you want to see is, are your ads even getting clicks? So when you have your ads, we're going to go down to the ads real quick. Not there. Well, we didn't publish anything. Let's see. Yeah. Well, let's just go back here real quick. So when you have your ads, you're gonna want to check on performance and clicks, and make sure you're on so this is where you select like your maximum today. So we're gonna go today. So now these are some areas you wanna look at is your CPM. So when it hits 1,000 impressions, how much is it costing you? Is it like $119 per 1,000? That's really high. You'll see anywhere on average for a good CPM, a really good CPM will be around $20. For what I've seen for real estate, it's around $50 to $60 per 1,000. And the more highly target, or the better your ad copy and the better you resonate with your audience, lower CPM means that it's a visibly more engaging ad, and they have different parameters that they look at. And so the lower the cost is going to be better, but you'll expect around $40 to $50 per 1,000. Link clicks is what you want to look for. Well, actually, this is what you want to look for. You want to look for the click-through rate, the CTR, and this CTR. So when you actually click on the CTR, this one will probably be a little bit lower. It'll be around like 1%, 2%. If you're upwards in the 3 to 4%, then you're doing really well for yourself with this ad. Now, this one is going to be higher. This one's going to usually be around, 6%, maybe 10%. If you're really good, it'll be like at 15 to 20%. Now, that's a pretty good ad. So this one's going to be usually higher, and this one's going to be a little bit lower. Now, this one means that they pretty much clicked anywhere on the ad. They just clicked on anything. This one means that they actually clicked on either like one of the links that you provided on the ad. So that's why this is going to be lower, because this is more of the clicks that they actually took action on in the ad. And so this will tell you. So if you realize, so anywhere between 2% on this side, on the cost per, or on the CTR, 2% is really good. And on this side, any between 4 to 6% is really good. So that's one thing you want to measure, is seeing if you're actually getting clicks. Now, if you're getting really good clicks on the CTR on this side, you're getting around 2 to 3%, but you haven't gotten any leads yet, I would suggest going to your actual lead form and seeing how you can change that up to entice someone to fill out that information, because chances are they're clicking on the ad to get more information, but they're just not submitting their information because maybe something's just not grabbing them to want to give them your information or their information. So that would be one area that I would improve before I start adjusting the ad copy itself. Because if you're getting good clicks, that'll tell you that maybe there's a kink in there in the funnel process that you want to improve. So that would be, now if you're not getting any clicks and just not getting any activity here, then I would go to the ad copy and see, chances are it's probably the image first. So I would test out a few more images and see if that's the issue. And then I would test the ad copy and make sure that the headline, I would test a couple different headlines on the initial view, because you only have like 2 seconds to capture someone's attention. And if they're not getting their attention caught on that first piece of the headline, then I would change that up. And then, so yeah, and the last thing is just give it 2 to 3 days for Facebook to kind of figure out what it wants to do with the ad, because it takes time for Facebook to optimize an ad. So you'll want to make sure that you give it a good amount of time for it to do its thing. So that's my last little 2 cents on that piece.
Yeah, I'd give it, yeah, 2 or 3 days. And then if you're not getting the clicks, then go back and make some little adjustments. Image is a good one, Adcopy to start. If you're getting a bunch of clicks, but no forms filled out, then I totally agree with Leo. It's probably the lead form. Maybe you're asking too much information or something like that. And that's why I like to leave it at just kind of the minimum. Because if they have to fill out a whole bunch of stuff, they may not be super serious at the moment, but they may be ready in the next month or so. So that's why, I put all these guys into my contact manager and, follow up that way. So,
and then
yeah,
the last thing that's really confusing too for some people is my Facebook maybe gave me a lead. So the last piece is Facebook sometimes doesn't give you an email notification that you even have a lead. So what I would do is daily up until you get your first lead, I would check your ads manager to make sure that you have a lead, because Travis and I have seen it where Facebook just out of nowhere doesn't send you a notification. And we were sitting on like 2 or 3 leads and didn't realize that they just dropped the ball on that. And then after about a week of, maybe I re-uploaded the ad, and then all of a sudden we get notifications. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring this on a daily basis to see if you've gotten anything. Now, if you get the Facebook email saying that you have a lead, then Facebook's end is working fine, and you don't really have to check this up so often. Now, once you do get your lead, where you're going to find them is actually on the actual ad, and there'll be a little box right here that says lead. Let's see if you can find it. So it'll be like under results, it'll say leads, and it'll be
you're
a
not sharing the
CSV
screen
download.
right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We can also set this up to where it just jumps straight into a contact manager if you have one of those, which is probably the best practice.
So where you'll find it is actually on the ad level itself, and it'll be under results, and it'll say one lead form. I forgot what the word is exactly, but it'll basically be a clickable link. You click it, and then it'll say CSV download. You just download the CSV, and it'll have a spreadsheet populate, and then that's where your contact will be. Now, if you go to your Facebook business or if you go to your Facebook page, they actually have a lead section where you can pull your lead up within your Facebook business page. So I prefer this way better to just get the spreadsheet. Travis also has a way that, we can also just, once you get the lead, you can shoot to your CRM. And yeah, that's the last piece. Got to make sure I share that one, because that's
How do you find the lead that you're working towards?
Yeah. So, they don't make it easy, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I know. That's why connecting with your contact manager is usually the best, because then it just jumps straight in there, and you can allow your contact manager to notify you instead. So cool. Well, that was great info. Glad to have you on again. And again, guys, if you have any questions, let us know. All right.
Have a good rest of your Monday.
Yeah, likewise. All right, we'll see you guys.